Let me know if you can see my screen.
Mm, not yet.
Mhm.
Yeah, now I can.
So these are the topic. I think we can just start it. We can go
Sure.
through all the topics gradually, and there is no need to explain every, I mean, this thing again and again, right? So you will be learning each and every topic, so you will have an idea. So I don't know, it is not necessary to go through remaining demo topics here, right? So you will, any which ways we are going to start it from one to one, so you will have an idea that which topics have been covered or not,
Okay.
right? So let's start with the first topic, which is architecture platform. So Palo Alto works on SP3 architecture. SP3 architecture is like uh, where you have single pass software and parallel processing hardware. You can write it if you want. It is, it will keep, it will help you to keep that in mind.
So
So
it's,
it
can you say it one more
it
time? You
it,
said Palo Alto works in
it works
P3,
on
S3?
SP3.
Works in SP3, which means, what?
SP3 architecture, which means single pass parallel processing. Single pass parallel processing software. It stands for single pass parallel processing software. And parallel processing, single pass software and parallel processing hardware. I'll explain. You can just write the,
Okay.
it stands on single pass parallel processing, single
Power processing. Okay.
pass parallel processing, right? So you can see how it stands on the name, single pass
Mm-hmm.
parallel processing. So see, SP3 single S and 3 Ps. So single pass parallel processing, where we have single pass software. Let me go out to where we have single pass software. Single pass software, it, you can mention this as well in your notes. Single pass software and parallel processing hardware, right? So we have single pass software and parallel processing hardware. We can just go through the diagram and we'll learn about it. So it will
Mm-hmm.
help you to have a notes, right? Single pass software, it stands on single pass parallel processing, and it
Mm-hmm.
is in which we have single pass software and parallel processing hardware. It is made just like that. The hardware is made just like that, where we have single pass software and parallel processing hardware. And if we go to the if you want to learn and more about single pass parallel processing hardware SP3 architecture, we have to go through the uh, first we have to go to the multi-pass parallel processing hardware, which we had in our old firewalls, we can say, uh, which were using earlier. So we can have the good idea about SP3. SP3 is in Palo Alto, right? So Palo Alto will have we will have more idea about Palo Alto SP3 architecture by going to multi-processing architecture, which we had in our previous firewalls. Right, let me just, which we have in our previous traditional firewalls, right? So uh, earlier what we were doing is we were going through, let me just open this. Earlier what we were doing is we were going through one by one everything. The packet is going through here, firewall policies, port and packet is going through one by one. Suppose some traffic is coming and traffic has to check everything one by one. Traffic packet has to open and close every time. You can see L2, L3 network. See, L2 at 3 network HA configuration management reporting. It is this packet is opening and closing every time. Right? You can see here. So this packet is opening and closing every time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? because
What do you mean opening and closing?
yeah, let me tell you.
Mm.
If some traffic is coming, it has to check the firewalls policies. And traditional firewalls I'm talking about, it will help. It will just degrade your performance, create latencies and everything, right? So packet is coming and going to the firewall policies, then protocol-based infections, then packet is closing. It has been checked and then packet is closing. But we have configured a lot of things in the firewall in traditional firewall, so it will open again and will check URL filtering policies, right? And then HTTP
Mhm.
records, and then again it will check for the related protocol and ports.
Mhm.
Then again it will
Mhm.
close because it has been checked everything, and then it will
Mhm.
again open for IPS policy check if we have created any, and it will again check the signature, and it will again check the port and protocol. It will related based on this policies we have configured. Then it will again close it. The packet I'm talking about, which is
Mm.
traversing in the firewalls, and then it will again
So,
open for AV policy. Yes, please.
so it does that for every packet by packet, it will do this.
Yes, every packet by packet will
Mm.
do this.
And
And
that doesn't impact performance.
yes, definitely it will impact performance
Mm.
and it will create
Mm.
latencies. So nobody
Mm.
will go one by one, right? It will take a lot of time also, right? So
Mhm.
one
Mhm.
second, suppose it is taking 1 second and it is taking plus one, plus one, plus one. So packet is taking
Mm.
4 seconds, right, to pass.
Mhm.
But it will not happen
Mhm.
in SP3 architecture,
Mhm.
right? So you can see, right,
Okay.
L3 packet is closing and opening. Opening and closing means it is checking for interfaces again and again, right? Interfaces means internal interfaces, external interfaces. It is checking again and again because earlier firewalls were being used as a interfaces, right? Now Palo Alto has an option to choose zones, right?
Mhm.
Just to keep in mind, I mean, so interfaces based on opening interface, exit interface, opening interface, exit interface, opening interface, exit interface. Here again opening interface and exit interface. So every time it is checking for few things, few software related things, it is opening and closing. The packet is opening and closing, and then uh, packet is transmitting to the external interface and forwarding to the destination. So it will take
Mhm.
lot of time, right? Create performance
Mhm.
degradation, create latencies, everything, right? So now Palo Alto has come up with single pass parallel processing architecture,
Mhm.
in which we have lot of things. The hardware is designed such a way where we have single pass software. Hardware,
Mhm.
suppose hardware, we have data plane and control plane and hardware, right? So it will help, these planes will help uh, firewall to process the software related things, whatever we have configured, whatever the functions we have in the firewall these planes will help the firewall to process everything in single pass, right? You can see
Mhm.
it will not go one by one. Let me
Mhm. So it opens the packet only one time and it does three things to it,
yes, it
like
does
that.
everything, like
Okay.
it will just go from
Mm.
here. Sorry.
Mhm.
It will just go
Okay.
from here. It will check the policies engine, app ID, user ID,
Mm.
networking. Then it again will pass. It will
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
design is
Mhm.
hardware design is such a way that it will help the software to
Mhm.
pass in a single way, single pass,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Suppose you have configured networking, routing, you have configured interfaces, routing, you have configured static, dynamic.
Mhm.
Remember, right? Static routing,
Mhm.
dynamic routing. Then
Mhm.
it will check app ID along with the same thing. It will check because security
Mhm.
policy we are creating in Palo Alto Firewall in such a way we will have everything in a single security policy. We don't need to create policies differently for policy engine. We don't need to create a policy separately for app ID. We don't need to create a policy separately for user ID. We don't need to create a policy for separately for content ID. And networking also we will
Mhm.
add it there only. So the control plane and data plane will help the firewall to pass everything in one go, and will just it will help us see operation one. The diagram has been taken from the Palo Alto, right? So operation once per second. So traffic classification, app identification, user and group mapping, content ID, content scanning, threat URL. This is also content ID. One policy, right? I said in one
Mm-hmm.
security policy, everything will be covered.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
don't need to create separate policies for separate things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So parallel
Makes
processing,
sense.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
parallel processing, functional separate functions specific parallel processing hardware engine, separate data and control plane. This will help. This is helping us a lot of things. It will help us. Suppose someone is attacking, uh,
Mm-hmm.
some attackers are attacking on firewall, right? So it will
Mm-hmm.
go to data plane, right? Because he wants the data to be captured. Some attackers are trying to attack has happened to the firewall, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
the control plane where we have management, like we are going to manage the firewall from here. We have everything in management plan. So in control plane we have separate memory, separate CPU. In data plane we have separate memory for networking, separate CPU for networking. We have separate memory for security, separate CPU for data plane, separate CPU and memory for control plane. So attacker has attacked on data plane. In case we do not, in what we had earlier, we had no option to log into the device and just check everything where the IP is coming from, which country and which user IP and which data, which uh, who is actually attacking. So now in single this Palo Alto Firewall, we have that option. We can just log into the management and check the IP and the country and the data and the actual uh, space has been captured, so we can check it. Suppose it is DDoS attack, so we can see directly while logging to the management control plane of Palo Alto Firewall. Getting my point?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I hope it is bit clear. Let's go ahead to understand more about
Okay.
it.
Mm-hmm.
So firewall, you know, right? A firewall is network security device that controls monitor incoming and outgoing network traffic based on the policies. So
Mm-hmm.
traditional firewall, what we has to do in traditional firewall only uh, stateful infection, you know, right? Where we have all the six tuples like source ID, destination ID, a connection table.
Mm-hmm.
You know, right? Connection table. If you have gone through the any of if you are working on F5, you might have know that connection table is something which we have six tuples. Let me write it down for
Mm,
you.
I don't think I know.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Let me source ID, destination ID, source port, destination port,
Oh, okay.
yeah, port,
Yeah.
protocols, port and protocols, and security policies, capture. So these will be captured in the stateful inspection, right? So you will have everything in traditional firewall except the functions which is separating next generation firewall from traditional firewall. So you will be monitoring and controlling traffic based on the port and protocol after creating security policy in traditional firewall, right? But in next generation
Mm-hmm.
firewall, you will have in stateful inspection. You will have control traffic based on port and protocol and application, and you will have control traffic using URL filtering, antivirus, 5-year IPS, app ID, user ID, and content ID. You will be separating everything based on this app ID, user ID, content ID. Along with that, you will have stateful inspection in next generation firewall. Let me write inspection. Connection table, we can write it separately so you can understand the same thing. Stateful inspection and connection table will help us to understand that it is related to stateful inspection. So connection table will be created. Connection table means most of the time it is related to session. Session has been
Mm-hmm.
created. It will not check again and again every time. So connection table is there. Control traffic based on port and protocol and application.
Mm-hmm.
So these will be added here. So next generation will have stateful infection, control traffic based on port and protocol, application URL filtering, spyware, and app ID will come in application. URL filtering, antivirus, spyware will come in content ID, and
So,
use. Yes,
mhm.
please.
So in a stateful firewall, you don't have filtering, or you don't do. It's not based on protocol. Actually, it's on port protocol. So so what do you call the next generation firewall? Are they stateless?
No, no. These are both. Traditional firewalls are also stateful. These are all.
Mm.
These are all also stateful firewalls. We have
Oh, they're still
extra.
stateful.
Yeah,
Okay.
still stateful.
Okay.
We have separate functions along with these traditional firewall. We have added few more functions to segregate the traffic. Stateful,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay.
This is also
So
stateful.
stateful means, like, you have to have a connection table, like you said, you have
Yes,
to. Okay.
yes. Everything will be there in next generation also.
Okay.
Along with that stateful, it will also have inspection on the basis of application, URL filtering, antivirus, spyware, IPS on the basis of
Mm-hmm.
user ID and content ID.
Okay.
Okay,
So these are traditional firewall.
yeah. These are not traditional firewall, these are next generation firewall. Let me clear you
Okay.
again. I have added traditional firewall here, traditional legacy firewalls, right? I would say that you will understand more.
Mm.
Legacy firewalls.
So,
So it will have,
so
I'm writing it a traditional firewall here just because we can understand the importance of next generation firewall.
okay, got
Okay.
it.
So traditional firewall like legacy firewall. Let me write it here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which means, like, when the packet comes to the firewall,
Hmm.
like you said, for it creates a session, and for that session, you create that table with the source
No problem.
ID,
I'll
destination
I'll share
ID.
this with you. Definitely, we will
Mm.
go through the packet flow. We are just discussing the
Okay.
architecture right now, right?
Okay, got it, got it.
Right.
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
I hope
Sorry, I'm ahead of
I
like
understand.
American, like Americans say, I'm ahead of myself.
No, it's
Okay,
okay. It's very fine. Like if you are imagining about something that it will help us to keep memorize from long time. So
okay.
yeah, so this will, I think this is bit understandable right now. Policy
Yes,
engine
yes.
SP3 architecture. I'll share the notes with you, so you
Mm-hmm.
can. I mean, you can write it. I have
Okay,
taken it from Palo Alto website only, so you can.
okay,
It will help us to write it. Right. So
okay.
I think you have understand it. You can also write it in your language. That will help.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
So you know, right? We have discussed this multi-pass and then
Mm-hmm.
single pass, right?
Yes.
So now we can check initial configuration, flow logic. We
Mm-hmm.
are now going to flow logic.
Mm-hmm.
So for going for flow logic, let me just try write something for you.